Okay, so as was mentioned, I've been a CISO. Actually, my career has taken quite a few leaps and turns throughout the years, but the relevant part is I was a CISO. Then I got my senses back and became an entrepreneur. And then somehow I relocated to the UAE or out of all places in the world and decided to be a CISO again. So now I'm recovering from that experience now. It was a great experience. And I've been a CISO for a digital bank. That was my last post. So I've seen both sides of the map. I've been a CISO. I've been an entrepreneur. Today I work with a lot of VCs and a lot of startup companies in various sort of stages. I love that. That is like the best part of my work, working with different companies. Now, as a CISO, people basically pay me not to trust anyone. That's my job. And yet, startups and companies and salespeople are trying to get me to trust them and trying to get me to buy their product and offering me that one fantastic silver bullet that I don't know does not exist. So how can you possibly sell to someone like me? So we'll communicate all the time. What we're doing here right now is communication. When we go and talk to a VC, that's communication. When we're building our network, that's communication. And when we're talking about selling, and I'm a terrible salesperson, don't ask me for selling advice. Ask me for buying advice. So the salespeople I buy from are the ones who communicate with me. And we'll talk about it in a couple of minutes. But today, I want to talk to you about how we can frame the way we communicate with each other, the way you communicate with your potential clients, your potential customers, to get them to actually listen to you. How will you frame a message so it will resonate with even the most skeptical of CISOs, again, like me? So, sales is very rarely like Tinder. You don't just put a post out there and get a nice product out and that's it, you make the sale. I wish it would have been that easy, but it's just like any new relationship. You have to nurture it. You have to grow it. You have to think about what will make the other side trust you and want to work with you. And here's the trick. When a salesperson is trying to sell me, I immediately try push back. No one wants to feel that they're being sold to. But we don't mind listening if something is providing us some sort of value. And that's the thing. A lot of salespeople expect, okay, I sent you. And that was, by the way, my biggest problem in the very short period of time when I was doing sales. I would talk to someone, give them an overview of a product, send them a proposal, and that was it. Like, if you want to buy, buy. You don't need me to chase you in whatever. But it doesn't work that way. Because again, it's relationship, it's communication. And just like any other lady, I want to feel like a lady. When you're trying to sell me something, I want to feel like a lady. You have to explain why you're a good fit. You have to take me out to dinner, so to speak, or at least tell me something about your product that will be useful for me. So in the end of the day, it's all about building trust. And trust is not built in a day. Building trust is a process. I have some salespeople I've been working with for years, and they will pivot from one company to another, and I will still work with them because I trust them. Because I know that if they're pitching a product or a service or whatever to me, I know that they have my best interest in heart. Of course, they want to sell, they want the commission. I know that. But they're honest enough not to try to sell me something that I do not need. And building trust, and that has nothing to do with cybersecurity or with sales or with anything. Trust is trust. And when we're talking about trust, we're talking about being sincere. We're talking about reliability. I want to be able to trust you guys. I want it to be consistent. And I already mentioned I want to feel like a lady when someone sells me something. So we'll talk about that again a bit later on the more practical side. But building trust is not about the product you sell. It's about the relationship that you build. And for me, it all starts with understanding the problem, with trying to solve a problem. A lot of salespeople just start pitching start sending you emails, start sending you LinkedIn messages or WhatsApp, which is even worse. I mean, privacy, guys. But when we're talking about understanding the problem and building that trust, it's about giving me some sort of value. I need to understand that you know where I'm going, where I'm coming from, that what you're offering me is going to actually make a difference. And I already mentioned that we're being bombarded. I mean, I don't know who here has ever been in the CISO role? 1, 2. How many LinkedIn messages you get? All day, every day. It's almost impossible. Like I always tell people, the best way to connect with me is LinkedIn. When I have the energy, I can open it up, review it. I got a great tip, by the way, for those CISOs. I haven't done it yet, but I'll do it this week. I'm going to add an icon to my name. If you have an icon like, I don't know, cookie or whatever, if you get a message and the cookie is there, it's not a real. Yeah, that's actually a great tip that I just got a couple of days ago, and I have to do it, but I didn't open my LinkedIn yet, so I'll do it back. But we are bombarded all the time. And the reason that a lot of CISOs are so mistrusting, or at least in my experience, I'm so mistrusting, is I get a lot of junk. I get a lot of calls that have nothing to do with me. And the most annoying thing for me as a CISO is knowing that the other side has not done their research. Do your homework. You want to sell a CISO, you have a product for OT security. If I'm a CISO in a fintech company, please don't try to sell me OT security. I'm not going to buy. I will get annoyed. I will probably even block you because you're wasting my time. And I start with communication, and communication in it is everything. We know that we have to talk differently. When CISOs know that, when we're talking to our technical teams, we'll use certain terms. When we're talking to the board, we use completely different terms. We're talking about the same thing, but in a completely different way. And the same is true for sales. If you're doing your research, you have to understand, a lot of people tell me, I want to talk to you as the CISO of the BEL. Well, I'm not going to really have the time, or if I'm being completely honest, the skills to assess some products. For example, when I was in the Vibe, I had a phenomenal application security engineer. He was one of the best I've ever worked with. I'm not going to assess an app security product. I'll let him do that. So you have to pitch him. And he has to be involved. And then he'll come and pitch me. And it makes your sales so much easier. Because you don't have to convince me. I don't have time to talk to each and every vendor, even if I wanted to. And sometimes I do want to, because as I said, I love working with startups. But we don't have the time or the skills. So before reaching out, try to understand what this company is, what industry it's in, what regulations are relevant for it. I remember that I was working for, never mind what company, and someone called me and tried to pitch me on GDPR. Now, it was at the time, I wasn't based in Europe. I wasn't working with Europe. And they were trying, really pushing me GDPR solutions. Oh, guys, it will be relevant down the line. It's not relevant now. No, but you have to do it now. No, I don't. I was working at the time for an Israeli company focused on the Israeli market without any ties to Europe. No, I really didn't need GDPR compliance. So when we're looking at research, these are things that I advise you as salespeople or as entrepreneurs. Research, think who you want to talk to. And know your audience or know your customer is not just in the banking world. So in the banking world, we have KYCs and we do all sorts of assessments to try and understand who's in front of us and can we trust them? Can we give them a loan? Their credit scores, everything. When we're talking in sales, know your audience, know your customer. No, you're not going to pitch the same thing to the security analyst or the software application engineer as you would to the CFO or to the CISO or anyone else. Try and think about who's going to use your product. Why are they going to use it? What's the pain point? And that's, by the way, something that a lot of entrepreneurs miss. And I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. A couple of months ago, I was sitting with this new team and they had honestly a brilliant technological idea. And we were sitting there and for the first 10 minutes, I was like,
geeking out and enjoying myself. I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. And I'm like,
what's the pain point? What does this product solve? Why would I pay money for it? As a CISO, I don't have unlimited budget. At least I never had unlimited budgets. I never had unlimited resources. I didn't have a big enough team. We were always struggling. So I have to prioritize. And if you're giving me something that I already have because you haven't done your homework and you don't know what I need, or you're giving me something that is nice to have, but I'm a 5-year-old company, so I'm not very mature. So I probably don't have time for nice to haves. I probably have other issues. You have to know your audience. You have to think about how you communicate. And even when you're building, and I'm sure, how many here are startups? How many here first 3 years? So I'm guessing you don't have, for those of you who are still in the 3 years period, I'm guessing you don't have a huge marketing team to create different personas and different content. Fine, you don't have to. There are a lot of things that we can do on our own. If we do or know your customers, if we understand communication, if we understand what your customer needs and who are they. Now, theory is very nice. I like theory, but I like practical things even better. So let's talk about how we build those communications, how we build that trust, how we foster the relationships that will go on and on for years to come. Now, there are multiple ways. You can attend live conferences like this one. You can write online. You can have a blog. You can have your own webinars. You can have brand ambassadors. Some entrepreneurs are great at the technical side, but they're not necessarily great at talking about their product. Some are phenomenal in that, but some not so much. Find some, and I call it brand ambassador, but it is brand ambassador or evangelist or whatever you said, call it. Someone who's passionate about whatever it is that you do and wants to talk about it. It could be one of your customers. I've actually done that as a CISO for one of the startups we were using in the bank. I became sort of their evangelist because they had a super techie team of incredible people with almost zero communication skills. Really, I actually told them, guys, you need to hire someone that can talk to other people, not just ones and zeros, actually have a conversation. So they decided to do that, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be and that's, by the way, a big mistake that I see in many cases, that the CTO, founder, whatever their title is trying to do it all on their own. No, there are other people. Either hire them or get them excited in other ways. That's great. But let's talk practical. Probably the easiest tool that you can use to start these things is LinkedIn. I mean, you can do a lot of things. You can have your own podcast, or you can go and talk to other podcasts. You can have webinars. But LinkedIn is free. It's easy. Today with generative AI, anyone can write, honestly. And I'm a writer, I'm an author, and I'm saying generative AI saves me so much time. So, but I want to ask you guys and girls, when we go out on a date and it goes really well, I'm guessing you don't sit at home and wait for 2 weeks and then call this person and ask for a second date. Why do you treat your LinkedIn that way? LinkedIn can be your best friend or your worst enemy. I always say that not right now, but usually I'm in a almost exclusive relationship with my husband and with LinkedIn. And my husband, I can probably get away with more than with LinkedIn because he actually likes me, and LinkedIn is just an algorithm. So LinkedIn is all about consistency. Writing all the time, sharing your knowledge, sharing your experience, sharing your ideas. I say that to my students when I'm teaching them. Start sharing, start talking, start whatever. And definitely to entrepreneurs, because it's just like any other relationship, it's about consistency. It's about being there all the time. And that's actually a great tool for market research as well. If you write about your solution, look who's engaging with that. It takes time, yeah, it takes time. A lot of people think that and for those who will follow me, hopefully on LinkedIn, you'll see people think that I'm on LinkedIn and social in general all the time. My deep dark secrets, I'm there usually once a week, either Sunday night or Monday first thing in the morning, creating content for the following week. Sometimes forgetting about it, then posting again during the week, and then, oh, damn, there's another post coming out, which I forgot about, which is fine. But it's a great tool that honestly anyone can use. And if you need advice, I will be happy to share. The other thing, when you're talking about sales and marketing in general, I'm not a marketing person. I'm sharing my personal insights as an entrepreneur and a CISO, is be intentional. Think about what you want to achieve. Are you working on your brand? Are you working on direct sales? Are you trying to get an investment? Each one of these things require a different strategy. What do you want to do? What do you want to talk about? Think about it in advance. So when I'm talking about going into social once a week and creating that content, it's based on my quarterly plan. Yeah, sometimes there'll be an incident, and obviously I'll respond because I'm a cyber geek. But again, for example, I know that this month is Security Awareness Month. So I challenge myself to post something about security awareness on Instagram, which is a new platform for me, each and every single day. I managed to do it, what are we, on the 19th? So probably something like 16 days. So it's pretty good, especially because I'm traveling a lot. But I'm being very intentional. I knew that this is something that I want to do more than anything to challenge myself, because Instagram is not my comfort zone. So I wanted to try and share things with a new audience, with new people. So think about, you know why you started a company. You know what you want to do. So use it and share it. And where's the effects? Oh, so you weren't supposed to see the book yet and the QR, but ripple effects. A lot of time, people think that they'll put a post and immediately sell something. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes the posts you write today will resonate with someone who will buy from you 2 years down the line. Again, relationships. I don't know how this talk will influence people here. Maybe in 2 years' time, one of you will reach out and tell me, oh man, I was in your talk and followed along and did this or that. And it happens. I've seen it happen with my TEDx talk. I've seen it happen as a volunteer, as someone who's very much involved with IC2, with the board and everything. So I'm actually just from Vegas. And I want to share something with you about ripple effects. In Vegas, the first day we had Security Congress, as they do Security Congress this week. First day, a guy comes up to me and says, May, do you remember me? I remember the name, but I couldn't really place it. A year ago, he was supposed to speak in an event that I was mentoring for ICT. And a few days before the event, he had a personal issue and he was about to back out, and he didn't know it was his first public speaking event and whatever. And one of the organizers asked me to mentor him. I sat with him for about an hour on a Zoom call. That was it. I didn't really remember that conversation. I went back to my emails and found it and everything. He came to me and shared how profound that experience was with him. And I'm not going to share everything that was on that conversation, but it moved me to tears. And I didn't even remember it. So, I did a little bit. So those are the ripple effects. So don't expect your post or webinar or podcast or whatever to generate a sale immediately. If it will happen in a month, if it will happen in a year. So the book is out, and I was supposed to bring you copies, but unfortunately Amazon dropped the ball and they did not arrive on time, and now they're in Vegas. And I'm here, so it doesn't help me. So unfortunately I couldn't bring you the books, but sales, hacking and cybersecurity is my way of giving back to community and talking about security awareness to anyone who's listened. It's a lot about communicating cybersecurity. So if you want to, I'll be more than happy if you buy for yourselves or your families. And we have 2 minutes for questions, right? Ooh. So we have 2 minutes if there are any questions. And if they're not, that's also fine. Either everything was clear or nothing was, that's fine. Yeah.
For new business in the security service, what are some of the, pitfalls they're found there? So yeah.
I think for security services, trust is even more of an issue. especially if I'm sort of taking some of the things that I'm supposed to do in my team and using internally, it's that open conversation. So I always prefer, unfortunately for you guys, I always prefer to work with service providers I know personally, or I know someone on their team personally, because I know I can trust them. It's not just about the professional expertise, it's also about that trust, knowing what is the aligning expectation, being open. I've actually had conversations as a business owner I have a very big customer and he's trying to get me to do a project today. But I don't do that. I don't know how to do that. That's not something I do, but I want you to manage this project. Great, but I don't know how. So that's trust. Have 1 minute? Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Oh, how do you see, like, for instance, like, there are several get the piece with some feedback out there, like, out TDC birds.
I work with big companies as well. As I said, my passion has always been startups. And also as a CISO, I always prefer working with startups because a lot of the time they are more flexible and I can get the things that we had. One of the things that I initiated in the bank was an accelerator program. So you could do that. I'm looking at the big ones, absolutely. And I had obviously my firewall and everything was traditional big companies, but there's room for everything. We know there's no one silver bullet that will solve everything. So, good. Thank you.
Thank you.